You'll see a link to this CSV processing exercise at the bottom of our agenda. So I'd like to encourage everyone to make your own copy of this CSV processing exercise. It's our main exercise for today. We spent a little more time on some of the warm-up, but it's okay. Let's focus on this gradebook challenge. We did like a version of this gradebook challenge before, I believe, where we had gradebook as like a nested structure. But in this case, we have our gradebook as a data frame. So in a minute, we'll work with this data frame data type. But what I want to show you first is this alternative way of arriving at this data frame data type. Sure, we could pass our own data in to the data frame class constructor like we did a few minutes ago when we had our data already. But if our data is coming from a CSV file, instead we'll use the read CSV function from Pandas. Let's take a look at that at the docs for this function real quick, which you'll see linked in today's agenda. Data frame, let's see, Pandas, read CSV docs. When you're working with Pandas, whether you're using the read CSV function or whether you're using the data frame data type or the series data type, we'll want to consult the docs about those data types and this function. Remember, last class we were dealing with data visualization functions, and we had to consult the docs to learn, well, what parameters are available? How do we pass a title? How do we customize the colors? Well, what are these parameters about? Same thing goes with the read CSV function. Whoa, look at all these parameters here. There's a lot of ways to customize our ability to read a CSV file, but luckily for us, only one parameter is necessary. We'll pass in as a string the name of some file that exists in the same place that our program does, or a URL containing the data. The URL would be a more advanced way of using this function, but a file name would be a more simple way. So let me show you both those ways right now. So we're learning here from these docs that if we want to use this read CSV function, the parameter that we'll need to pass to it is like the name or path to our file. And as a result, we will get, this will return this read CSV function will return a data frame data type. Okay, so we can arrive at our data frame data type this way. All right, cool. So what you'll see is commented out. The first approach that I had here was like, all right, let's read CSV. Here, we're importing this read CSV function from Pandas. And well, what file do we want to read? Well, it's called gradebook.csv. This will work only if the file is in the same place as your program. So when you're developing locally, you'll need to have that CSV file next to your Python program. And when we're developing in Colab, we'll need to upload the CSV file into the Colab file system. So that's probably the most popular way that we would do this. So we could take our gradebook file that I shared with you, gradebook.csv. If we download that from Slack, we should now be able to upload that file into Colab. This is a manual process, but what you should know is that we can upload files into Colab. If we use this file system menu on the left, there's this like upload button, I guess, upload. And now we could choose the file we care about. In this case, gradebook.csv. Once we upload this file, we see it here in the file system. I actually need to rename this. So it's just gradebook.csv. So the CSV file is the raw values in their text format, comma separated. how can we read this into a Python program and start working with this data? First, we'll have to upload that file into the Colab notebook. Again, using the file folder menu on the left sidebar will get us to the file system, where there are some example CSV files if you want to try reading those as well. But there's also this gradebook that we just uploaded. And since this gradebook file is now here, that's what allows us to say, hey, we want to read this CSV file. Well, which one? It's at a file path, in this case, gradebook.csv. Now we can run this cell and get our data frame. If we didn't have this CSV file here, that approach would not work. It's referencing a local relative file path. I happen to have uploaded these files to the internet as well. And so for a more automated approach, if you have your file on the internet, you can just pass the URL to the file instead. So in this exercise, you'll see that being done. Like, hey, we have this data. I posted it online, but it's still this CSV file. And our read CSV function is able to fetch this data from the internet as well. We'll revisit this when we deal more with fetching data from the internet. But really, I want to show you in this unit how to read these files like if they were local files. That's why I just went through the process of uploading the file into Colab and then passing the name of the file here. If our data was in some other like nested path, we would say something like df equals read CSV. And in this case, we would say like sample data slash like California housing test.csv. So if our local file is in some other folder, we just have to give it a path to the file. But if our file is in the same level, I guess in Colab, when we upload it, it just goes into the root directory here of the file system, and that's all good. So that's what allows us to do this. Wow, we talked a lot about the process of like uploading a CSV file. But once we do, now we're able to use this read CSV function to convert that raw CSV data into some object in Python that we can now work with. And just as a good measure, print what data type is this df variable? Oops, print what type is it? We'll see it's a data frame. All right, anyway, wow, we finally have this data frame. Great. Let me ask you some questions here visually. How many rows should we expect to exist? Oops, in this data frame. Let's just print the df first. How many rows should we expect are in here? Quick, yeah, just shout it out. 10, cool. We can visually see if we just print this data frame, we see it. 10 rows. What are the column names of this data frame? Perfect, exactly. Student ID, final grade. When we just reference the df as the last thing, we get this nice looking representation. But even if we were to print the df variable, we'll still see this kind of same thing, and we could still get those answers. How many rows? What are the columns? And we can ask this explicitly, like we learned how to do. Like print, us passing the df into the len function. How many rows are there? 10. Great. Print, well, what are the columns? df.columns. We'll do those popular things over and over again to try to understand the structure of our data frame. How many rows? What are the columns? Great. Another thing that you saw, I guess, already was this weird head method. With a data frame, if we just want to inspect the first few rows, that's a common thing that you'll see a lot as well. And so df.head, this method with trailing parentheses, instead of showing us all the rows, in case there's like hundreds of thousands of them, we can just see the first few rows, and that helps us also get a sense of what is the structure of this data file. without having to see all the rows. So we could print head to see the first few rows, or dot tail to see the last few rows. All right. Great, we have this data frame, data type. We're inspecting it, we're ready to work with it. We have a column of student IDs, a column of final grades. All right, what is this exercise even about? Let's see what these questions are. We have about 10 minutes left. I'll lead you through these. I'll show you how to do this stuff, and then maybe you can revisit some of these other challenges to challenge yourself. I guess we already did A and B, right? Print the column names. My bad, this should only be final grade, not letter grade as well. There's an error there. Print the number of rows. All right, we did that. All right, now let's do some of this fun stuff here. Print the average and median grade. We did this before when we had this grade book as a list of dictionaries. How are we going to do this now? There's two ways that I want to show you. Yeah. Yeah. So if we want the average grade, we could sum it up and we can calculate the average on our own, and that will work for sure. We also know there's like the statistics module that gives us the mean function and the median function. And that's all good. But let me show you the supercharged capabilities of these Pandas series data types. So if we have this Pandas series object, the Pandas series object is like a supercharged version of the list. Before, when we were working with a dumb Python list, in order to get the average or median value, we had to pass that list into some other function. Maybe some function provided by the statistics module, or do our own calculations, like ask for the length and then divide the sum by the length. But these Pandas series objects are supercharged with their own capabilities. Let's see what we can do with these objects when we visit the Pandas series docs, which you'll find linked to at the bottom of today's agenda. When we consult the documentation about this series object, we don't need to create our own, we already have one, so we can scroll down and focus on the different methods and properties and attributes of a series data type. So I guess there's different things we could do with the series, and some of the methods are these aggregate functions like mean, median, mode. Let's see, where are they? Mean, max, min. It turns out that this series object is supercharged, and it knows how to take its own average. It knows how to take its own median. And the way that we'll leverage these capabilities is we will invoke these methods on the series itself. So in this case, we have like grades, we'll say grades.mean or grades.median. And so our life becomes easier as we start to learn more of the capabilities provided to us by the Pandas package and these supercharged data types that the Pandas package provides. So to print the average grade, since we have a series, all we'll need to do is say print grades.mean with trailing parentheses because this is a method. All right, making our lives a little easier. And same goes for median. That is also a method on our series. So as you could see, Pandas is really helpful for data processing, data science, data analytics. This course is just an intro to computer science, so we won't be getting into all the awesome things that the Pandas package can do. But anyone who's interested in doing data science research with me in the future will use a lot of Pandas. And if you're interested in furthering your career in data science, Pandas will be a great package to list on your resume. So you might want to just get into it a little bit. And for the remaining 3 minutes, let's just do some more fun Pandas stuff to just show you the capabilities, some examples of its capabilities. So, I guess we could share this in Slack in the meantime. Now, when we were mapping before with any list of values, we had to like loop through that list, use an empty list, and then as we're looping through the existing list, we had to like collect some transformed version of the original item for later. And there was that whole process. We went through the loop, and by now you are very familiar with that process of transforming the values in a Python list. We have some easy ways of doing this with our series though. So if our objective was, for in this case, E, create another column called letter grade and do like some kind of mapping operation to transform these raw grades into their corresponding letter grades. As you can imagine, what we could do is like loop through these final grades, treat each one, say if this final grade is greater than blah, 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 do this grade, okay, collect this value, it'll be a lot of stuff. But what we can alternatively do is create a function to give us our resulting grades. So in this case, I just have an example function. If we pass in a number, if the number is greater than 75, we'll return the string pass. Otherwise, we'll return the string fail. Hopefully this function is not too bad. It's just an example function that transforms a score input into a pass-fail grade output. And if we have a function like this that takes one of the values, the way that we can apply this function to all values in the column is like this. Our df, its final grades column, that's a series. After running the cell that has that function in it, this calculate grade function, what we could do is invoke this .apply method on the series data type. Again, on this column worth of values, we can apply the following transformation function. In this case, the function is called calculate grade. And what it will do is transform each value in the series. It'll pass each value into our function one at a time, get the result, and we'll see now we have a transformed list of values. We had our final grades, and let's apply the following transformation function to them. This gets us another series, but it's of our transformed values. That's all good. Finally, we could store this back in the data frame in a new column of letter grade. In the same way that we can create a new key in a dictionary and give it a value, like dictionary key equals blah, blah, blah. We can do the same thing with the data frame. Data frame, new column equals the results of us transforming our original column. And when we do this and inspect the data frame again, we'll see the corresponding letter grades or the pass-fail grades for each one of these numeric grades. So I just wanted to kind of give you a glimpse into the power of Pandas.